Okay, welcome everybody. Today's Thursday, March 6th. We're here for the Instructional Subcommittee at the Administration Building. Deb, can I please get a roll call?
Mr. Dias.
Here.
Ms. Larrabee.
Here.
Ms. Perot.
Here.
Salute to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Open meeting law, 1.3. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of a public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Thank you. Is there any citizens input? Deborah?
No.
Thank you. We will go on to discussion 3.1. Discussion to vote and refer the International Teacher Partnership. Who is presenting?
I can start, and then I'll
Okay.
have Lisa Zagarella jump in.
Thank you.
We currently have a group of international teachers working in the Florida Public Schools, and that's been a really powerful partnership. We have some teachers in our dual language program who are native Spanish speakers. And so what we're looking to do is build off of the success we've seen and expand this partnership. This proposal is really, for a consultant who does the work around identifying, screening, interviewing, hiring. They take care of all the visa end of the work that needs to be done. And it comes out to about $5,000 per teacher. This proposal is specifically for 10 teachers.
Yep.
And so I can have Lisa maybe talk a little bit about, the day-to-day, some of the other support that this particular organization provides for us right now.
I met one of those teachers right across America when I went to visit.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Yes,
had a
yeah.
great conversation with her.
Yep.
Okay, Lisa.
Yep, so just to be clear, you can see it's broken down into 3,000 and 2,000 on your draft there. That 3,000 specifically goes, it's almost like a pass-through payment. It goes for the visa. So that's just required. That does not go to the consultant. That's to pay for the visa, the appointment with the embassy, and the 2,000 that you see that does go to the consultant really, in addition to the recruitment that Brian spoke of, also once the teachers get here, there's a lot of adjustment that needs to take place. They need to get bank accounts, they need to get social security numbers, they need to get housing, they need to get transportation. So he's fielding a lot of those 2 a.m. phone calls of, my apartment fell through, I don't know where to go, and providing that kind of on-the-ground support, as well as working with them for professional development in understanding ways in which our education system may be different from the education system in Colombia or whatever country they are coming from. Additionally, there are opportunities long range to expand this partnership because it's meant to be cultural exchange. Two-way, right. So there could, down the line, we are exploring an option of us visiting Colombia and learning from their schools as well. So it's a chance for teachers to come here, contribute to our school system, bring back what they learned to Colombia, and then for us to also learn from them as well.
We also have gotten I had the opportunity to visit one of the parent cafes at the dual language program, and the person who's supporting us with this work is also doing a lot of extensive support, as Lisa mentioned, with PD, but was really there presenting bilingual for families. It was a pretty powerful experience just around what the topics are. They have a monthly cafe, and the turnout was pretty strong. And this particular one I was at was really around what is dual language education, really giving folks an overview of what a student's day is like. So that's essentially what the partnership looks like.
Any questions? Yes, Ms.
Yeah, no, it seems like a very good program, and I'm really happy to give my support to it. Just a few questions. I know you mentioned something about how they're coming here from different countries, and we don't send any Fall Public Schools teachers abroad.
No.
Is that something we would ever consider?
That's exactly
what.
So that's exactly what Ms. Sagarella was describing. What I'd like to do long term is think about an opportunity where it's even a learning experience for our teachers. where this could be paired with some work at a university. Maybe they even take a course there around understanding that culture, different perspectives. So I think there really is an opportunity for some global learning. That's something that we would carve out as we continue to grow the program. For comparison too, I do want to name, I think it's important, we've been working with this particular consultant. I also met with another organization. It was $12,000 per teacher, 12 or 13,000 per teacher, right? And so this is at this cost with the visa, the comparable service, the same thing that we're really getting, but a much higher cost, just because I wanted to explore different organizations and see what else folks had to offer. So
that's great. I really like the vision. What countries?
Right now, the majority of our candidates, this particular person has really strong connections in Colombia, but the majority of our candidates are from Colombia and Spain, to my knowledge.
Different partnership with Spain.
Okay.
And that's.
But this particular person could expand, let's say, as an example. Right now, we have a growing population of students from Brazil, right? So I think we could utilize Global Education Solutions and start saying, hey, we'd love to get some teachers from Brazil, right? And so he will do that legwork for us and start to think about how do we recruit some teachers who are native Portuguese speakers, Brazilian Portuguese. So there's a lot of opportunity. Could be Cape Verdean, right? There are a lot of different, so this would really be an opportunity. That's the legwork they would do as we continue to name what our need is here in the district.
So, sorry, go ahead. I forgot you have the floor.
No, it's fine. I guess my last question was going to be who would be the superintendent would be who decides where the teachers go, or are you going to?
Right, we do place them, so we do try to place the teachers together, right? You want sort of to have a cohort in a building, because this is a major shift. They're moving from a different country. I think where we find success is when we have a pod of 3, 4, 5 teachers together, right? So right now we have, for instance, a pod at Viveris. What other schools do we have? Fonseca.
Morton. We have a couple at Durfee.
That's right. Yep. But we not really placing them, like, let's say, in a one-off, because just that support that you're going to get from a colleague who's also moving, has this this sort of international experience. But we really determine based on need. So right now we have teachers in the dual language program. We have teachers who are ESL teachers. By expanding this partnership, I do think we have the opportunity to maybe get a math teacher or a science teacher or even a special education teacher. We would need to decide internally where do we have openings where we could potentially cluster some folks and meet the needs of that building.
And what I was trying to get at, if you have like a preliminary idea where you would send new clusters if we get to 10?
Do you want to?
We are looking to build this partnership out at Durfee, particularly, especially because there is a need. We've had some luck recruiting internationally for math and science outside of the ESL program, so that is definitely a place where we're looking to expand. Green is a place where we certainly could expand. They have a couple right now. As Brian said, we're not looking to do one-offs. And it's also up to the principal, right? Like we don't just say you are now taking these people. Right. It has to be a partnership, and they have to understand some of the support requirements, because it really is a cultural moving from a warmer climate to a colder climate, moving away from their families. In this particular partnership, they do not bring families or spouses for the first couple of months, so that they can really focus on learning about our schools and dedicating themselves to acculturating themselves professionally before they do have an opportunity after, I believe it's 90 days, to bring over family members if they would like to. They don't have to. So there's also that piece that they often transition without their families, and their families come later. Mm-hmm. So it really depends on who feels comfortable doing that level of support.
No, I appreciate that. My absolute last question, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Is there like a timeline if we approve this either next month or the month after? Is there work that's going to begin right away, or something that's going to begin in the summer?
Yeah, so this would be a discussion and a vote to refer tonight. So let's say that this goes forward Monday and gets approved. We would want to start recruitment right away. This is the season. So that's the reason we're bringing this forward now, is because let's say that this did get approved on Monday, we would already start in March and April our recruitment efforts. Typically what happens is as this organization is finding viable candidates, then there will be virtual interviews set up. That's usually the process. There's sometimes we're even looking at videos of them teaching. Many of these teachers, the other benefit is these are folks that have teaching experience, typically abroad already, so they've been teaching. And so, it just, I wouldn't want to wait too long, because this is where the recruiting starts to happen right now.
For reference, Dr. Paez is traveling abroad right now. He does meet with candidates face to face. So he is in Bogota right now, meeting with candidates. We were the first person to partner with this particular organization. The word is out. And so
The price is gonna go up.
no, it's not that. I mean,
just other districts
it's
are
that other
starting
districts
to really
now will want this same candidate
this.
pool that we're trying
Yes.
to pull from. And so the longer we wait, the more options there are for, say, another district to jump in and take the top tier teachers that we would be looking for.
Right.
So, and this, obviously he's a free agent. He can partner with, it's not even necessarily Massachusetts, but he has shared with us that Massachusetts does offer pretty competitive packages to these candidates, so it is a desirable place for them to come.
So that was my question, the package that we offer these people. So they're coming here, we're paying global, how are we taking care of the teachers?
I mean,
Like,
when I say package, I mean like
Yeah.
our compensation package in terms of medical benefits,
Right.
and the same that any other teacher would
Okay.
get. But if you know,
The
what
2000
North Carolina pays, it
Right.
doesn't.
Right, right.
Massachusetts is much more competitive.
Right.
right. So who's the other company that we use? You mentioned the other company, the Spain.
So
Who's the other company?
we have a partnership with the Spanish Embassy. That's not a direct partnership. That actually is a partnership through DESE. So
Okay.
DESE covers the $3,000, but we are then on the hook for providing a lot more support to the teachers who come from Spain, because there is not a consultant who works with them. So that has been a challenge for us.
So, for instance,
But there's
like-
also no fees either, right?
there are so there's always a visa fee.
Always a visa.
DESE is paying
Right.
that,
Okay.
but that also means that DESE gets however many candidates they get,
Okay.
and they might say to us, "Hey, you can have one this year." That's what's
Thanks,
available to
DESE.
Fall River,
Right.
Or
Okay.
they might say, "You can have 5."
And then the lift is on us internally to try to support with all these things that the consultant supports with for the
There you go.
2,000,
That's the
right?
difference.
So that's the
Okay.
difference. Whereas, this particular consultant can say, okay, I'm going to work on the housing, I'm going to support you with it. Like, that really is a
Right.
full-time
I mean,
gig,
without-
especially as we continue to
Right.
expand this, right?
I don't know if you feel comfortable, but is it worth using the DESE one? Yes?
We continue to.
We do, and I did just have a conversation with Mr. Lally in Human Resources the
Okay.
other day about what is our ongoing plan
Right,
for
because
support.
it's a heavy
Because
lift with that
it is
one.
100% a heavy lift in
Yeah.
terms of finding housing, and
And that's
we
why
have-
we wanted to bring this to 10 now and say, let's expand it a little bit to 10. Let's continue to nurture
Right.
this, but maybe we can continue to grow it potentially, right? Let's see
Right.
what happens when we expand the scale a bit.
I'm still, my brain
And
is,
I'm gonna say something that I cannot, I don't know
Cameras
if
on,
DESE,
cameras on,
yep,
yeah.
correct. I don't know what DESE's funding source is
okay,
to bring the teachers here.
okay.
So
Yeah.
can I speak
can't
to
speak on
whether or
that.
not DESE, how much longer DESE will be able to fund that program? I can't.
Yeah, so who does the heavy lifting here for these people? In our district, in our state, in our city?
It has
Who does
largely
that?
fallen to the MLL department and largely fallen, it was Tyler Ramey, and it
Whoa,
is now
okay.
largely falling to
Wow.
Jessica Pires.
So it's another lift that's not, in my opinion, right? We have this
Right.
important work to do around student achievement, teaching and learning, and so that's why, I think partnering with an organization like this that can take that piece of the work away,
Uh-huh.
because it does take human energy and
Is
effort.
that even in a job description? No. Okay,
I think the
Alright,
willingness
okay.
was born out of
okay.
an opportunity.
And we should do this.
And
okay.
wow, yeah, we'll support it because we really
Got
want
it.
to make
Yes.
this happen.
Yes.
And,
Okay.
but it is overwhelming. I would
And
say.
revisiting and the whole kit and boodle. As far,
So, a couple of the things questions I had were kind of answered a little bit along the way. So it says 10 teachers here. What if it's, when all's said and done, is it a possibility we get 5 instead of 10, so this number may be lowered? So this is the maximum amount we would spend
We're looking
if
for approval.
we get, if we can get 10, if there are 10 qualified. But if there aren't, he's not just gonna give us 10 to give us 10, correct? Okay. And these teachers, we talked about our teachers going over there. Obviously, these teachers come here, they become our employees, so now we're paying them and all that. When our teachers go there, who's paying them?
What we were looking for, this is very preliminary conversation, but if we were to build this out, I think the intention would be, how do we continue to build the global, the capacity of our teachers around just understanding, global education. So the vision would not be that we're permanently sending teachers there to teach. It could be, though, what does a summer experience look like? What does a 2-week experience sort of look like? That's not something that's on the table right now, and that's something we'd have to package and come to you with a proposal. But that's not something.
I was just asking if you, what you were thinking.
And preliminarily, we're thinking potentially
FYI.
maybe like a February.
You might want to make a real nice package for that one. I won't be here by then, but
We're thinking like a
I
February.
trust you'll need one.
Hopefully.
Okay, so let's see, what else? And then I wanted to make sure that we have the ability to sort of, and I hate to use the word veto when we're talking about human beings, right? But the ability to just say, well, I'm glad you think this person was super qualified, but we looked at ABC, or we had an interaction.
We
Oh,
interview.
yeah.
There's
Okay.
no, so all this.
Because it seems like, it said here, that's why I'm asking,
the interview.
because it seems like they're doing the identify, screen, interview, and hire. So if they're
So
doing
they're-
all that, we getting them after
They're
they're
doing an
hired.
initial interview
Okay,
around what, their language proficiency, right, to work here, their areas of strength. They're
Sure.
then presenting us a pool of candidates. That's essentially how it works. And then
Okay.
we're doing the interviewing on our end from that pool
Beautiful.
that's already been pre-screened
Okay.
and determining.
great.
We also have access to that interview. It is filmed.
Okay, perfect.
So when they
So we
sit-
can
when
see
he
their
says-
first interview
right,
and then we do our own as
Yeah.
well.
right.
Yeah, because they may be more, all right. So then, wait a minute, I had one more question.
As an example,
It
last
is
year as a
scam.
principal, I interviewed some people that I chose to move forward with, and I interviewed other people that I didn't. So I mean, it's the same thing
Ultimately,
in
our
terms of our
decision.
process.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. We're
Now,
not
the last
stuck.
question I had is, did you, this is kind of piggybacking off of what my colleague said, but did you say, for example, say we'd like 10 teachers, we need 3 math teachers, like you looked at openings, said we need 3 math, 3, you didn't just, right?
We haven't even gotten.
I think
that
that's
far
what
We
I
yet,
haven't gotten that far
Okay.
yet.
But
Because we're initially
But that's
looking
what
for
you're
your
gonna do.
approval
Gotcha.
to say, hey, could we potentially recruit 10?
Okay.
The next step would be, if this got approved on Monday, is we go back and say, these are our areas of need.
Perfect.
These
Okay,
are our
that's good.
critical areas.
All right, okay.
When you're looking at your initial pool, could you please send us
Sure.
candidates that have a background in science
That's
or
the
math
one.
or whatever it is?
Okay.
Yep.
and we will, just so you know our process, we usually do prioritize our dual language openings first.
Sure.
Because we absolutely need
Obviously,
bilingual
yeah.
candidates
Obviously,
for
yeah.
that. And then we, as Mr. Pozo said, we move into like areas of
Sure.
critical need. And I've already pre-scanned schools because the interviews from the Spanish consulate will be coming up.
Yeah.
And so schools have already given us an idea of what the needs might be.
Okay,
So.
thank you.
I have
I
one
was
more
gonna
too.
make a
Sure.
Is this strictly just for teaching positions, or are there other opportunities for translation, say psychologists, SACs? Is it just teaching?
Right now, this is just teaching.
Okay.
We haven't discussed potentially expanding to other areas, and I don't know if this
That's what I'm saying.
organization
Do
does
they
this.
offer-
I don't
okay.
know.
You don't know.
So what I will share with you is that when spouses do come over, they often do get work visas, and they actually do become, like, we have one candidate right now whose wife has just come over, and she is eligible on a work visa that we do not pay for, but she has asked, what is in the school system that could be
Uh-huh.
available for me? So sometimes an extra benefit is
Right.
that we are able to recruit
Mhm.
translation, paraprofessional, IT, depending on what
Yeah,
that
depending on
person's
expertise.
background might
Right.
be. And
Okay.
they're often a very highly qualified,
Yep, yep.
qualified spouses that come over. One is a pediatrician in her native country,
Right.
so, it sometimes becomes,
Some opportunities.
Opportunities.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you. Did you have something else?
Yeah,
Mr. Giles?
that's one of the last question I thought of when it comes to in terms of compensation, and knowing that we pay educators depending on certain factors, experience, education level. how does that apply to potential educators coming over from this program?
I think we would use the same process. So they would, at the point of HR, they would review if there's, let's say, previous teaching experience. They would consider that previous teaching experience just like they would if they were here. They'd review transcripts from their education level, that sort of thing.
So if it's say if they received some sort of I don't know if this is the case or not in the past, but say they received some sort of master's or some sort of doctorate program and they're just coming over here for some experience, what's like and it's fine, we don't have the answer today, but what's like the formula to determine, all right, this is an accredited university from this school outside the country, they come here, this is acceptable for this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, they
I
actually.
think they follow the same
Salary
process. Yeah, salary
Accredited
scale,
university,
education.
a recognized university, regardless of where it is, someone has earned a master's degree and they have 3 years experience, they're in the master's column in step 4. It'll give them 3 years credit and then they'll be on step 4 when they arrive.
I just, within that $3,000 of the embassy appointment, there is a very rigorous transcript analysis. So they have to be qualified to even come here. So there is a very rigorous transcript analysis that they have to go through to ensure that they are a candidate who can come and teach in the United States. So that it happens even before it comes across our desks. So that, because I hear what you're saying, you're asking like, is it an equivalent of an American university? And so there is a very rigorous process that each candidate has to go through even prior to being allowed to enter this J1X program.
Right, I just want to make sure they're being paid at a just level as everyone else.
No, absolutely, they are. Yep.
So I'll make a motion to refer.
Sure, I just have one more question. I just have one more question. I can second though, if you ask that question.
We
Second.
got a second, Deb, okay?
When we were just touching base, hang on, I saw any, okay, licensure. Now, before they come here, this is part of the process where they make sure they have their whatever bachelor's degree, whatever they need, and they already have the teacher test, or do they come here and do that? How does?
So because it's a teacher exchange program, they do not have to acquire Massachusetts licensure. They're licensed to teach under the exchange program. If for any reason they were to, they cannot stay. They can teach for 3 years. They can extend for 2 more years.
Okay.
And then with most countries, they are required to go back. And because this is an exchange program, this is not like a permanent citizenship program. They're working under sort of that.
If after this program ended, so I'm participating in the program, I'm not required to have the license, Massachusetts license. The program ends, but I'm loving it here. I'm doing a great job. My visa's continued, and I'm going to continue teaching. I then have to go take the Massachusetts test.
They would actually generally have to go back, live in their country for 2 years, and then they would be applying for a totally different visa. A totally different work visa. That would be,
okay.
So J1X is strictly an exchange.
And to my understanding, depending on the content area that they teach, there are certain visas that are a little bit longer, right? In some of the sciences, I believe they can stay a little bit longer.
That may be
With
true.
certain
I'd have to
candidates,
verify that. I'm not sure.
But either way, if they ended up staying longer, like Mimi just said, if they got married, if they, whatever, a circumstance occurred that they stood, they thought, whatever, life happens.
Then they're no
Then
longer on that
thing,
visa.
so they would then be
Yes.
required to
Yes.
do whatever, yeah. All right, I just wanted to, the reason I was asking that was I wanted to see, because I think if I was an educator here who didn't have my teaching license yet, or I was working and I'm just thinking from there, but that sounds fair and appropriate and sounds like a great program. And you have a second?
And I will tell you one more thing. They
Yes.
cannot extend without ours and the principal's approval. So they are subject to the same educator evaluation system that our
Sure.
so they're not like exempt from any of that.
Right.
That's just so you know.
Roll call's great.
Mr. Dyer?
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee?
Yes,
Ms. Pereira?
Yes.
thank you. 3.2, discussion. Discussion and vote to refer grades 3 to 5, health curriculum pilot with Mr. Fitzgerald.
So we'd like to pilot the Catch Health educational journeys for our 3 to 5. Currently, we have the Botvin Life Skills, which we replaced at the middle school last year. That curriculum came out in 2015, 2016, hasn't been updated since. All workbook, teacher manual, a lot of them have been, lost in transitions and things of such. A lot of the materials without a subscription, we don't have access to. For example, the vaping unit, it still has us, under Botvin, it would have you teaching like smoking. We've asked for like vaping materials, and they said that we don't have a current subscription with them, therefore they could not share that with us. 4 of our schools for our wellness teachers use Quaver, so we're looking to phase that out and to roll this out across the board for all of the 12 elementary schools, which include the 2 K-8s. Some notable school districts that are similar to us that are using it are Boston Public, Revere, and New Bedford. It's the benefits of this. It's an OIR, just like we have at the middle school, high school, the online instructor resource. So everything's digital. Our PE health teacher, wellness teachers, push into different classrooms. So therefore, like they could have all those materials on their Chromebooks with them when they go. So you're not worried about copies and everything else like that. Another benefit of this, it's $349 per school, so you can have several users on it, whereas a lot of other programs charge you per user.
Which is, I just want to name too, that the cost is a little over $4,000 for all schools. Right now with Quaver, we're paying about
$7,200.
I was going to say over $7,000 for only 4 schools. So we would actually be able to put this all 12 elementary schools for, less money.
Efficient.
Yeah.
Correct. They give us access K-8. We'd only want the K-5, but we're approved for the 3-5. But our wellness teachers, if some schools decide to keep them on, they would have that full access to it. This will also cut out any teachers like sole sourcing information. That way they're all teaching the same thing across the board. So now they have, a platform going into the middle school, high school. Again, like Mr. Raposa just said, the cost of it, I included the current cost of Botvin. If they were to renew it, it's hyperlinked in the price list, but it's $235 for a set of 30 student guides and a teacher manual.
That's if we stayed with the Botvin.
That's if we stayed with Botvin.
That cost versus
Correct.
$349 for the whole school. Yeah.
Desi's been pushing this out to a lot of districts. No.
Oh, the other one, okay.
Catch Health Journeys.
Yep.
So it's made their comprehensive list of health curriculums that they recommend.
And you've reviewed it all, right?
I've met with them. I've met with Catch. I met with elementary teachers when I go through our bi-weekly PLCs. We talked about it in our last PD meeting. Monday we would have our scheduled after-school meeting, and I've allowed them to take that hour or so to review it, any questions that they would have, but it's pretty user-friendly.
Is that their feedback?
So far, yes,
Right.
correct.
Okay.
Most of our schools are rolling out trimester 3 for health. I've also sent the scope and sequence that we use with Botvin to Catch Health. That way, like, they could kind of align as best they can what our teachers know, so that way they're not kind of jumping into a,
Right.
something that they're not so familiar with.
So it's a better curriculum, we're saving money.
Yeah, there's no catch.
We're good?
Include all the
We're good?
schools.
No pun intended.
Motion to refer.
No pun intended.
Second.
I like it. Roll Deb.
Mr. Dias?
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Blair?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. On to just an update from Mr. Tavares with the 5 through 8 social studies curriculum.
Wait, there's also discussion.
No, health was vote to reform.
Oh, health was, sorry.
Yeah, this is just a discussion, update.
Good days.
Go ahead.
Thanks for having me tonight.
Our pleasure.
Yes.
Thanks for
So-
coming.
Even with the long hair.
I just wanted to share information with you regarding the curriculum that's available to us. I think you're gonna like the sound and that there's no cost to the curriculum.
All right.
Investigating history is 5 through 7, and they'll actually be in a pilot phase releasing grades 3 and 4 this coming summer. And then the Democratic Knowledge Project is for grade 8. This all spins out of, in 2013, the National Council for Social Sciences released the C3 framework, which was the college and career and civic life framework that was suggested to guide history and social science instruction. DESE, once that was released in 2013, revised their standards for history and social sciences, K through 12, released that document. That document has civic learning expectations throughout, from K to 12, with the goal that we have for strengthening students' understanding and how they make informed civic choices and they know their roles in a democracy, to strengthen the ideals of equality, justice, and liberty. So at that core, these curriculum platforms were created. They are applied learning platforms. You know, it's project-based. It's the work of the student is through inquiry and investigation. It's a very active curriculum. So it's really enlivened the classroom. You know, if you think about your history instruction, you either loved it or you didn't back in the day, right?
Yeah.
So what's happened is that there's a lot of opportunity for professional development by way of grant. You know, DESE released grants that we've been involved with over the last few years. DESE ended that grant program, and the 1-8 Foundation is now funding the grants. Now, you've probably heard that name
Yes.
before, with Open SciEd and ST Math and a whole bunch of applied learning platforms. So there's a lot of symbiosis across the different curricular platforms. So students that are engaged in Open SciEd, as they're engaged in investigating history, the routines and the strategies are either identical or similar. So there's a lot of transfer from classroom to classroom in terms of skill set. When we talk about the Democratic Knowledge Project, even though wasn't created by DESE, it's fully endorsed by DESE. This comes out of Harvard, and it's in conjunction with Project Zero, which is a learning lab. You know, they investigate how people learn and they develop strategies. That civics curriculum is entirely aligned to state standards. It prepares the students for the end of course MCAS test, and it also has the expected civic project embedded in it. So, you know, as I've had the opportunity to look at this in action in a couple of schools, DKP, at Talbot and Doran, they're in a cohort this year where they're getting direct support. It's really transformative in the way you see kids discussing, learning, and then applying. So I'm excited to say that next week we're going to hear whether we're accepted into cohort for training for all of our middle school teachers 6 through 8. Now we ask, what about 5? Well, 5 is there's going to be I don't want to call it a slow spread, but you know, we have 2 K to 8s, right? So at Henry Lord and Doran, grade 5 investigating history is being implemented this year. A couple of other elementary schools who were able to send teachers to training last year by the grant that we had, they are piloting some parts of it. DESE's cautioning, like, go slow here, right? They were motivated to create all of this because it didn't exist anywhere. High quality instructional materials for history and social sciences doesn't really exist outside of what I'm talking about here. And what I really appreciate is that it's iterative in that they are listening and getting feedback from districts and making changes because they developed these platforms with districts. So if you come to Civics Day, May 16th, Government Center, you'll see it in action.
Yeah.
But I wanted to provide you with that. And there's a potential, if you put $1 on it, and they will, but you're talking about $400,000 worth of free PD that we may be able to access. We'll know next week. As far as the platform itself, it's open source. You can all create an account and see it for yourself. Any cost that we would have would be, if we wanted printed copies, we could order them, and it's at low dough, you know. If I did a grade level purchase for Durfee for a new textbook, it would be over $100,000. You know, where we could buy all the materials 5 through 8, and it would be maybe 50% of that,
Yeah.
maybe.
Questions? Concerns?
Quick, 2 questions. Heard you mention about the civic engagement prepared for the MCAS test. So we're still doing the MCAS tests within 8th grade.
Yes, across all grades.
It's just not a
Even high
graduation
school.
requirement.
It's just not passing is not a graduation requirement. But every student,
Has to
grades
take
3
it.
through 8, plus grade 10, math, ELA, science.
Is that a state requirement that
Yes.
it's still,
Yes.
it's still a state requirement that
Yes.
students take it? Okay.
Yes.
And for any of this, because it's changing curriculum, you don't need a motion from us to refer this at all?
No, I don't think so. I think it was just for sharing
an
purposes.
Sure, I just wanted
Yeah.
to,
Not a requirement,
for
okay.
awareness, yes.
Okay.
And we've had some
Okay, motion.
schools who have done some small pilots. Talbot and Durham piloted the Investigating History and Democratic Knowledge Project. So we're just sort of expanding that, and this is really just informational. As Mr. Damaris mentioned, it's open source, which is great because it's free access. So anyone can log on and see.
Didn't Morton do an 8th grade civics project
Oh,
last
They all
year?
do.
They've all-
They
Of course,
all
they
did.
just-
I never go to one.
So
I
we've
thought it was
shifted to
civics.
every
It's a
8th grade
different
teaching
curriculum.
civics.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. I
Yes.
thought it was just, you were just saying it was.
It's
I'll
also,
entertain a motion, unless you
Motion to
want to keep
adjourn?
people here longer.
Second.
Nobody has questions for Mr. Fitzgerald? Any more questions? Deb, you're up.
Mr. Dias?
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Blair?
Yes.
New business, do we have any to come in front of this committee?
Oh, I thought that was for adjourn.
Oh, yeah, we just.
Oh, we didn't vote, that's right, it was just discussion. Any new business? Good, 'cause you just adjourned.